Hey all, this is Paul from Drums and Rums with the Backbeats Meets the Spirits. We got a great guest today. I met our guest in person at the Miami Rum Congress in earlier this year, back in February. So it was a great event. There was a lot of folks that are there. Big thing that we're going to talk about here is what their secret thing that they had everybody besides the rum coming to their booth was the rum cake. So we want to talk about the rum cakes because I think that was something new venture that we're getting into. We're rum friends are the best friends today. We have CEO and co-founder of Reif Rum, David Reif. How you doing, David? Good morning.
I'm good today. Good morning, and thank you for having me on today.
So yeah, it was. I know. Geez, was it February? Can we believe now we're here in June? And time flies when you're having rum. I guess that's what they say, right?
Exactly. It's been an adventure and a lot of fun. And I look back, February was yesterday and forever ago.
Yeah, I know. I know. We're halfway through the year and we start of hurricane season already. So, yeah. So we I know as we were just chatting there before we started recording was it was about sometime fall of last year. We crossed paths initially virtually online. It was great actually seeing you guys at the Miami Rum Congress. But then what we're also going to talk about too is the big event that we had here. And, the big part of why you're on the show is the Tampa Bay Rum Experience. So which was great being the part of the very first one. But before we get into kind of talk a little bit about that, tell me, I guess how this started out. Was reading that, I think one is, and you tell me if I'm wrong, right? Is here's based on what, my little researching that I did and homework is you seem to be entrepreneurial. Would you agree with
I
that?
100% agree with that. I at 7 years old, I was selling my sister's bike parts. I was taking apart her bike by piece and selling it to my sister's friends and my brother's friends. At 10, I was selling my older brother liquor out of my parents' liquor cabinet. So yeah, entrepreneurship is something it's in my blood.
Oh, that's funny. So did your sister know that you were selling her bike
No,
parts?
you know how they figured it out when my dad went to take my sister out for a ride and the bike literally just fell apart. It just screws were missing, the streamers were gone, the bell was gone, and just the bike literally just fell apart in the driveway. And my father just looked at me. And being an entrepreneur that he is, he just looked, he was mad, but he was proud at the same time.
He definitely knew who was behind all this,
Oh,
right? It was
absolutely.
no doubt. That was a part of that entrepreneurial was, it's kind of it's you're very many generations, reading there is your family's in the garment business, which was, that's a really interesting, aspect of the business, being up in the Northeast area, the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and then, getting into how, I guess, before we get to rum, just trying to build up, the backstory here is how'd you then go from, like the family business into restaurants? Was your family business also involved in restaurants, or is that something that you kind of struck out on your
I
own?
struck out. So I'm the fourth generation of a family business. We've been in business for over 140 years. We manufacture clothing for both. At the time when my great grandfather started, it was boys, and the theory was boys always have to go to school, right? It's your job to figure out what they have to go to school in. Maybe in the 70s, it's corduroy pants or parachute pants or MC Hammer pants or uniforms, whatever it may be. So, we've gradually expanded it to all kids, not just boys, but we started out at boys. So I grew up from an early age on the factory floor, in the warehouse. I mean, that I knew the family business. But I also knew when I hit 18, I knew the business, but I also knew I wanted to do something else. Like I wanted to try something else. So my dad said when I went to college, of course, learn the business fundamentals, but branch out. Maybe you want to do something different. Don't just guide yourself to the family business. So when I graduated college, I entered the family business because it was an easy job to get, obviously. But I also knew I needed to strike out. And the thing I wanted to do was I wanted to own a restaurant and a bar. Did I know anything about it? Absolutely not. But did that stop me? No. So instead of taking the normal path of let's work in a bar or in a restaurant and learn everything to do it, I just said, all right, I'm going to go out. I worked a couple of years for my dad, saved all my money, and opened up my first restaurant. And managed that for about a year out in Long Island, which was a lot of fun. It was a 1950s style themed kind of diner, just burgers, fries, and shakes. Did that very did that a lot, but I did it for did it for a year for 7 straight days, 18-hour days till I burned myself out, which we can all appreciate. Realized, okay, this is a lot of fun, but I need help doing this. I can't do this on my own. So I ended up selling the restaurant and going to work in New York City for two of the largest restaurants and bars down in the South Street Seaport. So between the two restaurants, we had over 400 plus seats. And I
Wow.
managed them back side by side for 4 years, which is really, I really honed my craft in restaurant and bar management.
Right. So you've got definitely the customer experience, the customer relations aspect of it from the first venture there at the diner, and which is, by the way, for those that are listening, if you're not from the Northeast, and I think Dave, I think we've talked, and I've told you that I was born in New Jersey, and I said if you've not familiar with the Northeast, and I know they have them elsewhere around the world, but it is a key essential thing to have diners in, to go to when it's either late at night, after a night of drinking, or in or Sunday morning breakfast or whatever. Diners are crucial. So I'm sure that diner was, it was always jam packed, and never slow down. I'm sure, right?
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we had the girls on the poodle skirts and the old cars and roller skates. It was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun.
So when it's that venture there, the diner, did you go straight into it? Did you have some restaurant background experience,
Zero.
hospitality? Wow. Okay.
No, my father's friend at the time, his experience was he built restaurants for other people. He didn't manage them, but he built them. So my father hooked me up with his friend. He built me a restaurant, gave me the keys and said, here you go. And like everything else, you learn it as you go. You make a lot of mistakes, but that's how you learn.
That's right. Yeah. So you get on the job training, but you learn mistakes, don't repeat them, and then
Yep.
definitely get a good life lesson. So so that's kind of why I'm trying to get frame up the path here to get to obviously talking about rum is yeah. So that entrepreneurial aspect, you seem like you're somebody who's probably doesn't like being still, kind of always kind of keeping busy and moving. That I'm sure COVID was a big thing that kind of put everybody into pause or slow down mode, especially when things are thriving, and then all of a sudden we take this big stop in the life, and this is kind of where now the story of Reef Rum starts.
Yes.
Correct?
So this is where it comes. So, again, my job is to sell uniforms to kids that go to school. COVID lockdowns come and, good 50-60% of the schools across this country close down or go remote, go virtual, go, what 1 day a week learning. So the uniform kids are not wearing uniforms. Kids are not buying uniforms. Our stores stop purchasing. So we get furloughed. We're hanging out at home, my wife and I. And like everybody else, we start, kind of drinking, right? We're having fun at our home bar. We're enjoying it. And on Instagram, there's this pay $35 and you get something for your bar. You don't know what you get. So you know what? We're bored. It's a lockdown. We pay $35. First thing that comes is a little half-liter oak barrel, age your own spirit. I don't know anything about aging my own spirits. This could be fun. I was at that time I was more towards the tequila because that was the fad. So I was like, hey, this could be fun. Let's age tequila. Oh wait, that's kind of been done. Like tequila's the thing now, right? So I'm like, you know what? Let's get creative. Let's do rum here, right? I really can't find a rum that suits my palate. I like my food. I'm a barbecue guy. I like a little bit of sweetness. I like a little bit of smokiness. There are plenty of, rums out there that have a little bit of that, a little bit of that, but I couldn't find one that met what I like. So we spent months just aging rum, playing around with flavorings, just looking around going, okay, what can we do? And this was just for our own benefit. And 4 or 5 months go by, lockdowns lift, we have something we're enjoying. Then, I start going, schools start reopening. I start going to travel to my customers and I start bottling in the little airplane size, the 2-ounce bottles, the rum. And I said, for no other reason, just here's what I did during lockdown. What did you do? And the feedback starts coming back is, hey, you've got something different here. I'm like, oh, okay, you're my customer. You're going to tell me nice things, right? But now I'm 100, 200 customers in. I start hearing it over and over. Man, you should really think about this. Well, that's when the entrepreneurial brain kicked in. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? It's nice that my customers, my friends, my family are all saying I got something here. Let's let's see what we can do. So one of our partners in this business, her daughter plays cornhole professionally. So I load her up with 75 bottles of the rum, send her out to Las Vegas to the World Championship of Cornhole. Don't ask me. And I said, go get me 75 independent, reviews of this, not friends, families, customers, or anything like that. She comes back a week later with 74 positives and one not negative, one I can't drink rum because I have an allergy to it. Okay, I got 74 positive from strangers. Okay,
That's pretty good.
now what do? I don't know anything about distilling rum. I just concocted some stuff at home. So when I started traveling, I had a lot of time on my hand. I start YouTubing, I start Googling, I start reading books, I start researching everything that I possibly can about how do you enter the spirits business in the United States? How do you start distilling your own thing? Am I going to buy a distillery? Am I going to contract it? What am I going to do? And so I start researching, I start talking to a lot of people, and I read a book. I'm going to leave the name out. And he's a consultant to the spirits industry. I read his book, I emailed him, and I said, hey, thinking of this is what I'm doing. I live in New Jersey. I see you're from Jersey. I would love to talk to you. Within 5 minutes, he emails me back. He goes, you're from Jersey and you read my book. It's 2 steps ahead of everybody else. I'll give you 1 hour of my time because I'm about to retire. Okay, I'll do that. So I sit with him. I give him my 5-minute elevator pitch of why my product's different than what's out there. And he goes, absolutely, from the description of it, sounds like you got a winner. And then spends the next 50 minutes telling me why I'm going to fail. For all the reasons, all the hardships and the problem points, and we all know the issues in the spirits industry of why I'm going to fail. All very valuable advice.
So, all right. So, David, so that part, it sounds like, we're going up, we're feeling good, and we're feeling high about ourselves, and he's going to smack you with some reality. But, well, I mean, we know the story, right? We know how the story ends, right? But at that point, you being an entrepreneur and, success and failure is in this line. But he's about to tell you why it's very difficult, specifically for rum to succeed.
Yes.
So sorry. So go ahead.
He's going to tell me not necessarily rum. I mean, besides, he did say the category is an up and coming category, and it's about the premiumization of rum is about to take off. So he goes, you're about to enter the right market with the right product. But here are all the pitfalls and everything why people get, even with the best of intentions and best of products, here's why people fail, right? And they were all legitimate things. And I listened and I took my notes. And then he looked at me after 45, 50 minutes and he goes, you should take all the money you're about to invest, go to Vegas, put it on red or black, you got better odds. And I said, I appreciate that. Then he looked at me and he said, everything I just told you, you're not going to listen to me, are you? And I said, nope. He goes, you just gave me a roadmap of how to succeed, not how to fail, how to succeed. And he goes, that's why you're going to do well, because you didn't let me discourage you. I look forward to seeing you on your product on the shelves. Yeah. And that's the way I'm wired. And I'll tell a story out of school. Back in the middle school, back in the 80s, when they used to show us the drug films, the anti-drug films, Just Say No, right? After they showed us the films, teacher go around, what did you learn? What did you learn? Everybody's, well, don't do this drug, don't do that. It causes accidents. They got to me and my answer was, I learned how to roll a joint. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I watched them. I didn't listen to the words. I was watching how they were rolling joints. I took notes on that. I saw something different. And that's kind of what I took out of this thing. Me the same. Like that.
So yeah, no, that's so that obviously right there, that explains, obviously who you are. Is you look at things from a different lens, and it's especially with this story about talking to the consultant is okay, he's telling you all the things not to do. So okay, don't do those things. Just make sure you do something different or other than that. And that's kind of a real interesting, again, with your background, entrepreneurial, the business side of things. Obviously why he said what he said was that you're going to be successful because you took all of your other past knowledge and experiences, taken what he's told you what not to do, right, and then said, okay, now I've got a good formula, right, like your rum, right? I've got the good formula on how to go forward with it. So, so that's interesting. I know a lot of people. You're I hear the same, kind of conversations with other brands that, we that have on the show. And a lot of them they kind of jump in, we get excited and start a brand. Some have a little bit of experience. Some just kind of do it with the, excitement of starting up a spirits company and don't know. And for me, to be honest, too, is when I started this all out, I just had a cool name. I liked the two things about the name, and I had no idea about contract distilling. I thought everyone who had a rum company or brand was making rum. And then I let I find out about contract distilling, as you mentioned, or distilling and just buying a distillery and all that, and said, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I learned just as much as you mentioned. You keep your ears open, your mouth shut, and you're going to learn and gain so much knowledge from other people just by picking up things along the way. So okay. So now he's told you what not to do, and now you know what you should do. Now, where are we going from here?
After that conversation, when we hang up, I turned to my wife, who was overhearing the conversation, and she's, where I'm the gut person, she leads with the brain. So she heard this conversation and heard every reason not to. I just turned to her and said, "We're going in the rum business," and she's like, "Okay." So of course, what's the next thing? Next thing is okay, we've created this wonderful thing at home. Now, how do we recreate that on an industrial scale? Right? What we've done at the bar was nice. Now we have to find somebody who can work with us. And that's where the hard part started, right? Step one was, who can make it for us? Right? And so now it's, okay, well, was it important to us to be, do we import the rum? Do we bring it from somewhere else? Do we make it in the USA? Do we blend it? Is it a blend of different rums? Like, where do we start? Do we want to be based in New Jersey, which is where I live, or do we want to be based in Florida, which is where everything rum starts and ends? So it's like, okay, so what do we want to do? So we started with, we want to be in Florida. Important for me was to be as local as possible. So for me, my day job, made in the USA, as much of it that can be, we try to do. So for me, the rum was important for me to be as much USA based as it could be. The Floridian sugarcane, Floridian rum, or if we're blending rum, at least let it come from the U.S. Virgin Islands or some U.S. territory, someplace where U.S. what meant for us, because it was important for me just to support local, and local can be Florida, local can be the U.S., but made in the USA was important. So that was the first one. Finding what did we want to do, but then finding somebody who could give us that, what our secret sauce, right? Our blend of sweet and smoky, what makes us what we consider different, is finding somebody who could do that, and that's where we struggled. There were people that said, "Okay, yeah, that's here. Here's your sample." We gave them our sample. They're like, "Okay, that tastes great. Nah, that's here's the closest I can give you." Or, hey, we actually had somebody said, "You know what? That's great. Here it is as a whiskey format." I'm like, "But I don't want to make a whiskey. I want to make a rum."
Right.
And he spent weeks trying to convince me I should be a whiskey, and I don't want to be a whiskey.
No, and that's good that you stick to your guns, because as you know, and as you mentioned there about with the consultant, was rum is an up and coming spirit, even though it's been around forever. We all know that it's become it's something that a lot of whiskey people are jumping out of and coming over, right? Because they're certain reasons, and so again, sticking to your guns. You've got your vision, you've got your compass, where you need to point to, and to go forward with that. So, and there's a distillery here in Florida as well. That was our somebody, that same thing. They always get asked, "Why aren't you making whiskey? Why aren't you making or bourbon or what?" And he's like, "That's just not what I want to do. There's so many other things out there. Let's stay with rum." And that's anyway. So go ahead. So I'm sorry, David. So
that's okay. So, and that's, so it was just sticking to our guns with every roadblock. Yeah. With people telling us, "Well, you should be this or you should do this. Box it this way. Put this many bottles in the case. Make the box." Everybody was telling us what they thought or what they said was going to succeed or fail, and it was hard to stick to your guns because you start to doubt yourself. Yeah, I'm really confident in my uniform world. I'm really confident in my abilities. But then you're entering this world where everybody's telling you should do this or don't do that, or this is going to fail if you do that. And I'm like, but no, I'm going to do that. And I'm glad I did end up listening to my gut and saying, this is what I want. Because in the end, we came through it. with what we consider a great product, and great packaging and everything like that.
Right. So, all right, let me ask you then. Since you've been told every 6 ways of Sunday about what to do and what not to do and how you should do and all this input from everybody, the name. Okay, I know I know it's pretty easy, but how did you settle on the name? It was always going to be Reef Rum. I
No,
mean, I know
that's
it's your last.
and the
Okay,
funny thing is we're searching for months for name. Are we going to call it retirement rum or we had so many different names. Reef was never an option, and we're sitting with our marketing company banging our heads. What do we call it? What do we call it? And one day, and we hired a marketing company from Brazil. We wanted somebody to come out with a different perspective than the U.S. market, so we hired a company out of Brazil. And the owner of the company's looking at me one day when we're banging our head going, we can't come up with a name. It's getting toward the deadline. What should it be? And he's looking at me and he goes, David, what's your last name? And I go, Reef. Why? He goes, I don't know, coral reef, reefs, maybe reef might have something to do with a pirate or a rum. And I'm like, oh, like the light bulb went over my head. Like I never once put it together. And then I'm like, should we change the spelling to REEF? He goes, no, you idiot. Like literally, use your last name. God gave it to you. Use it. Oh, okay. So,
so yeah, it's sometimes the most obvious answers are right in front of you,
yep.
right?
And it was so, it was really after that, it was like, how could we have not have thought of that? Right. It was staring
Yeah.
at us in the whole time, but that's fine. I mean, I'm glad we chose it and worked out well.
So, all right. So that about that time after you had that conversation with the consultant, or whereabouts in the timeline are we here, right? So we started with COVID, lockdown happened in March 2020. We all know, and so whereabouts are you in now that you
So we're
want to kind of?
probably now into somewhere in 2021. We're somewhere probably spring of 2021 that we're on the adventure now of working with the marketing company, working with
Okay.
distilleries, trying to get our products lined up, and that's where the next year comes in.
So that things are moving fast now,
Yes.
right? That's in within a year, going from an idea, play around, hey, try this, we got something, shit, let's run with this and see what we can do. Now within a year to going from becoming alcoholics at home because of lockdown, right? Which we all were. I'm not judging.
We,
Yeah, yeah,
it passed the time. That's all I can say.
yeah. I know. So here, my day job, I didn't get to live at lockdown as much as other people did, and plus in Florida, pretty much we were somewhat open, and that's why so many people moved here now. But yes, all right. So 2021. Now we're moving forward here, and where are we going now? Now, and again, you don't have to get into any details you don't want to share about specifics, things. But now you've got your marketing, you got your name of your company, you're picking a place to go and work with to make the product.
And that was
and then,
that was
so
the
now
biggest thing is working with settling on a distiller, getting somebody who who understood my vision, shared the vision, understood how to, listen, I'm not the distiller. I can't give you all the technicalities, but someone who understood this is the look, the feel, the smell, the taste that we wanted, duplicate what we wanted, improve upon it, but get us what we wanted. And that's where the work took the most time. I mean, getting set up with the TTB, I'm not minimizing that. That's a lot of work and a lot of
right.
understanding. To us, the hardest part was getting the right product. And I wouldn't come to market. I'd spend all the money in the world marketing TTB, getting everything licensed and set up. If I did not have the right product, I wasn't bringing it to market. It didn't
Right.
matter. So the work from 21 to 22 was getting the right product. And
Right.
the 30 some odd variations, iterations, whatever word you want to call, of the product, from this is what we want to here's something close, here's something closer, here's something, oh, we overshot the mark, but you know what? Oh, in overshooting it, we found something we liked, so let's back it up a little bit. So it's funny to watch. If you go back to my original bottle to what's on the shelf today, they're similar. It's there, but it's different. And it's different in a good way, but it is interesting to watch the evolution of how it took off from what I absolutely had to have to
Right.
what it grew into as we, like I said, trial and error, made mistakes trying to duplicate that.
Do you have you kept along the way? So the bottles, how far back to the different variations do you have to go back and look and say, here's where we started and here's where we're
Oh, I
at,
have all the way
and
back,
how
not
was.
only to bottle one that I brought to the distiller, I have all the way back to bottle one from the very first half-liter
Oh wow.
barrel that we did. I just saved every one of them. And I don't know if instinct or what made me do it, but I just kept saying every time we make a new variation, I'm just going to put a bottle off to the side. And I kept all my notes of the formulas and all that stuff. And, it's all in a drawer somewhere that one day we'll dust off and keep as hopefully as part of our history.
It'll be going into the Reif Rum Museum, right?
That would be nice.
So, all right. So, I think what's interesting there, Dave, is for those that are listening, may not are as far down the rabbit hole into the rum world. Obviously, we have a lot of listeners that are both music and may not be full on rum nerds or whatever. But I think that you're listening to the story here, and you're talking about as an entrepreneur and as a business with an idea and a plan and these things. It is not easy. Not to say that you're discouraging, anyone who's listening from your success or from the things that you've gone through, that it does take time. I mean, let alone the government regulations and going through that aspect. I mean, at the end of it, yes, you've got to have good juice in the bottle. But it is a journey. It does not happen overnight. I mean, unless, yeah, sure, you got a shit ton of money and you could pay people off and whatnot to move the ball, but you've got to have really good product to move forward. So you've got the product here. You found a distillery, and now you're starting to kind of get branched out there. So now through marketing channels and so forth. So how are you going through some of that now, or your marketing aspect? Is you just kind of hitting like a guerrilla marketing approach, getting into the rum events like the Miami Rum Congress or the Tampa Bay Rum Experience,
Yeah. So, now the hard part is you get your product done. Now you have to get it to liquid to lips, right? You have to get it to people. And, we'll minimize or skip over the whole trying to find a distributor to help you get your product out there, because there's 1,001 rum brands out there and everybody's got something new and everybody's got something exciting. And as hard as it is to find a distributor, I'm glad I had to go through the trials and tribulations, because where I landed, it allows me to tell the story our way, our story, our way. It's not anybody else telling our story in the way they want to sell bottles. It allows us to tell who we are, and it's told with our passion, our voice, and that's a good thing. And so we decided, Florida being the largest rum market out there, we're going to concentrate on Florida. And so how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that in certain markets. We're not going to go, well, we got the entire state of Florida, right? Let's pick my day job, back to that for a second, is very niche. We make uniforms for schools. It's very, very specific, right? So I wanted to be, let's find these markets that, some of these other players might overlook because it's too small in their minds or whatever. Let's skip the big markets and concentrate on the small markets. And let's just concentrate from Florida, from the Panhandle. Let's concentrate, obviously, we're distilled in Jacksonville. Let's go from that area. Let's start at the bottom at the Keys, and let's kind of work our way up and down, east and west. And then we'll meet at the big cities, the big metro markets. And how do we get liquid to lips, right? You have to do the festivals. We work with pirate crews over in Tampa that help spread the word. We work with trop rock artists, so we go to their festivals. We obviously do tastings in all the different stores that we're in. And then there's the rum festivals. We were not able at the time to do the Rum Renaissance, but we did the Rum Congress. I did a virtual tasting with the Florida Rum Society, which is actually where you and I first connected.
Yep.
We did the Tampa Bay Rum Experience a couple weeks ago. And that's really how we get the liquid to lips, how people come, try the rum, meet us, hear our story. And, like I said, and either love it, like it, hate it. That's fine. There's a product and a taste for everybody, right? But it allows
Right.
us to get out there and show people what we have. And, so far the
Right.
reaction has been great.
So David, let me ask you, with how did you land on the proof is 70 proof?
70 proof.
Right. So how did you land at 70 versus 80?
So that was one of the last debates that we had, right? And we had an initial version that was 80, we had an initial version of 70. Part of what we wanted to do, which was to make rum accessible for drinking. Right? There's plenty of rums out there that are, that people sip and drink. But for me, it was very hard to go from a mixing rum to drinking a 5-year aged rum or an 18-year aged rum or something like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
struggled a little bit with that. And so we were looking for a rum that could be a good, what you call gateway transition to help people get away from mixing it and go straight to drinking. So we wanted something smooth, right? Something that didn't
Right.
have that little burn, what keeping it simple, just didn't
Yep.
want that little bit of alcoholic burn afterwards. And
Right.
so the difference between the 70 and the 80 proof was that little aftertaste there. And we said, you know what, for this, we're gonna start at 70. We want it to be accessible. We want it to be, and one of the things why we initially started with all the different rum societies, we knew going in 70 proof was going to be okay, that's, really needed to be 80, right? And we're like, we get that it's not for everybody, but not everybody can drink the 18-year or the 25-year. What about your spouse? What about your friends that come over that are not drinking that? What are you serving them?
Right. Right.
And that's what it turns out to be. They're like, oh my God, you're right. My spouse, my friend, my father, this is something he can drink. She can drink. This is great. This is something they can have neat or
Yeah.
served, with a little splash of soda or whatever it is. And that's why we settled on 70 proof versus 80. It was just that slight taste of things. We're asked often if we're going to come out with an 80 proof and it's teed up. But again, I'm going with, ideally, I'd like to do one thing and one thing really, really well. Right. I
Right.
don't want to come out with 70 different flavors and variations and things because I think you only dilute who you are. And I'm not knocking anybody who does that because I think that's great too. But for where we want to be, that's the ideal world. It's not to say we're not going to do it. It's teed up, but for right now, it's on the shelf.
No, I appreciate you answer the question there because you answered it, you nailed it, you knew why I asked, and for those and that's perfectly like I said, I've got no qualms. I don't see myself as any type of rum snob in any I'll drink whatever. Like I said, I told Nia and I were talking to somebody else and I said maybe I'm not I may have started to realize maybe I'm not a rum enthusiast. I think it might be just an alcoholic. I'll drink whatever. No, but I think that's perfect because you're right. There's that aspect of kind of smooth and where there's a burn and as right, David, is like my wife is she's typically a Captain or Bacardi girl, right? And I know I said I shouldn't have gave them a free plug, but we all know who the big giants are that are half the market that everyone's trying to. And there's so much better stuff that's out there that is trying to get up there, right? So this is what we're trying to do is like Reif Rum and a lot of the other attendees at the Tampa Bay Rum Experience like promote up some of these other brands, great brands that are out. But yeah, she has her things, but yeah, we know her head will blow up if I try to give her like some Haitian funky rum, stuff that's like really over here, which is fine, and it gets you in the door and try certain things, and especially here in Florida, you don't want to be like drinking fire, especially if you're hanging out in the by the water, right? So, and kind of pace yourself. So, all right, yeah, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Rum Experience. Obviously, that let's kind of get back in it. So. I know when we were scheduling these podcasts up, one of the things was like, all right, it says let's be the first. You talk about the post mortem, post review of the event, how you thought it went, how it went. I know it was kind of crazy how quickly time flew by. I know I was tied up with the panel, but yeah, what's your thoughts on maybe your experience of the Tampa Bay Rum Experience?
It was a great experience. I mean, as an inaugural event, it went off flawlessly. From the event space, which inside of a furniture store, which is just very cool and hip space with cool and hip furniture. So it was not a convention hall, and it wasn't this. It had a personality, it had a vibe, and I think it lent itself to that. So from the space, it was great. From the brands, I mean, we thoroughly enjoyed it, and we enjoyed it for the people we met that came in and tried the rum. Those that loved it, those that thought it was great, those that thought, it's not for me, which is fine. It's always great to meet consumers, to hear their thoughts, their visions, and everything like that, and tell our story. But it was also great to meet all the other brands, right? And to hear their stories and hear where they are in the journey, and to hear, meeting brands that are a year or two ahead of us that said, "Oh my God, look where you guys are compared to where we were. That you're doing great. Don't doubt yourself." Because sometimes
Yep.
you start to doubt yourself. Oh, we're only this. We're a year into the market. We're only here, and they're telling us you're only there. we're a year ahead of you and we're only there. So it was really good to connect with other business owners for future relationships, for future collaborations maybe, and just for future, hey, you know what? I'm going through this problem. What's your experience? So I think it was just a great way for a community. Listen, the rum market, as you alluded, it is so big in the state of Florida. We're all fighting for an immense part of pie. We don't have to fight. We can just do it all together. There's room for everybody. And if we can all lift each other up and bring each other up, great. That's my intention is just work with anybody and everybody to help grow, because we're fighting over a piece of a pie that's gigantic. I don't want it all. I'll take my little sliver and help who I can, and somebody help me. Right. So I thought that experience was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I look forward to it. Hopefully, she continues it and grows it, because with keeping that vibe and keeping the furniture store event vibe, it was very eclectic and just nice. I thought it just fit perfectly.
Yeah. So I know I got a lot of comments asking. This is different, and it's like, yeah, it's like I said, you go to a convention, and even as you mentioned, as we mentioned, was both of us, the Tampa Bay or the Miami Rum Renaissance. That's done at they have one day that's off site at a hotel that does the seminar, and then the actual tasting event's done. They do it at a Coral Gables Women's Club historic building. So it is a little bit larger room. It's different than being in a convention center where there's a lot of it's a little colder. I'm not knocking the event, but I think I get what you're saying about it. Was different. It was different, and it was kind of a little refreshing, right? To kind of be able to sit, and my booth was a bed, so I don't know why I just didn't podcast in the bed or something, like that. But I was afraid of probably spilling something on it, and then I guess I bought it. But yeah,
I think that was the fun of it. We're put into this position, and our props and our normal props and our backgrounds weren't all there and things like that. And I think it was just fun. And that hence about the rum and me is I just like different. I don't like doing things the conventional way. Nothing that there's wrong with any of that, right?
No.
But I do think when somebody thinks outside the box and says, let's do something here that makes you think and makes you adapt and makes you this, and I thought it was great. And watching the people that didn't know they were walking, they thought they were coming in to buy a sofa that day, and they walked into that, right?
You know what? This may have actually been, I should probably talk, I don't know. Hopefully, if this isn't the reason we're not kind of spilling the beans on anything by saying that, maybe this was all planned. If you get people to come in, drink some alcohol, and buy some furniture, and then you how late at night when you're on QVC or Amazon nowadays, I guess that's such an old reference. You have drunken Amazon purchases, but I don't think that was the reason. I don't want to kind of have any type of alleged things that happen. But yeah, it was really cool. Again, it was a great vibe, like you said, with the different vendors, and I kind of know I'm in a different place as one of the participants of the event there, and trying a chance to talk to go around and talk to different folks. It was good to see some familiar faces, meet some new faces too. Had a whole conversation with La Marielita folks, about some of the stories that we shared a little bit about some of the history, which I don't want to get into now, but it was really great. So definitely congratulations to Isabella pulling this together, because I think that's kind of what she said was people. Tampa is very enriched with the rum, world as well. It was like a second home for a lot of Cubans. Obviously, Ybor City, they're still rolling cigars there. I was supposed to go on a cruise in 2019. I think it was 2019. Yeah. To when they still had Cuba was open to access when they opened it back up. And then the cruise ship was going out of Tampa to Cuba. And then the door got closed, just before we got a chance to go. But there's such a rich history of rum, the Gasparilla Festival, and all those things. A lot of distilleries are in Tampa as well too. So it definitely makes sense. And now you've got one, hopefully, in continuing, as well. I'd like to continue to be part of it, supporting Isabella and that event. And so you got Tampa, and you got Miami. Like you said, some of the hubs in the areas make sense. Okay, so I'm definitely not letting you go without. I've got to ask about this. Okay, So as you were saying that now that you talked about you guys are getting during COVID lockdown experimenting and trying different things and bartending and mixing and so forth, and then before you even got to start making your own room. All right, I read the ingredients here. You've got to explain to me the balsamic berry blast. Okay, drink. Okay, when I read the ingredients, I'm like, I'm not sure about this. Right. So explain to me how you came across making this cocktail.
Again,
And then tell.
I like my drink like I like my food. A little bit sweet, a little bit savory, a little bit of this. So we are sitting here with the rum, and we're coming up. We have one of our swag giveaways is a deck of cocktail playing cards, right? And it's a deck of playing cards that have 12 recipes on them. Most of them are takes on the original, takes on a Mai Tai or something like that. And then we had a
Right.
couple originals. So one of them was we need to come up with an original drink. And so we're sitting around one night, my wife and I, and we're like, okay, we got some balsamic vinegar from our salad here. We've got, some of this strawberry vinegar we got from our salad here. What can we make in our cocktail? Would that pair well with our drinks? And we've made some strange cocktails. We've tried pickle juice with our cocktails. I mean, we've tried. So this one came out. This one actually worked, right? This one, we're like, all right, a little bit more vinegar, a little bit more sweetness with the strawberry, top it more with Prosecco. But again, it goes back to that sweet and smoky, sweet and savory, just something different. Not a cocktail that somebody, when we describe it, everybody made the same face you made. When people try it, everybody makes, we call it the Reif face. It's that I didn't expect that, and damn, that's really damn good.
Oh, a Reef face. You need to make sure you're shirting that or something.
Yep, already working on it.
Oh yeah. So sorry. So real quickly, David. So go ahead and explain what's in it and how to make it.
Okay, so the balsamic berry blast is made obviously using Reif Rum. It is also made with what's called the strawberry shrub, which you can either buy online or in your supermarket, or you can make it your home. It is basically strawberries marinated in sugar, and then it's the juices that come out of that, and you mix it with some white vinegar. You can Google a recipe for that. And you basically mix the strawberry shrub, lime juice, the Reif Rum in a shaker, pour it over ice, and then top it off with Prosecco. And it's very simple. It's absolutely delicious. It's a great summer cocktail. Don't get thrown by, oh, I forgot, of course, the balsamic vinegar to put the dash in, right? Before you pour it, you put the dash. So I forgot, but don't get thrown off by the balsamic vinegar. It's just the dash. It's used like a bitter, but
Okay.
it just gives you that tang, that little bit of mixes with that strawberry shrub, and then of course the tropical flavoring of the rum along with a little bit of smokiness. It just all pairs together very well.
Okay. Well, there you have it. The balsamic berry blast. So, all right, I'm gonna have to try this. So my wife's a Prosecco fan. So I think she'll when I same thing when describe it, then she'll and then she tries it. I'll give you a report back if she gives the Reef face.
Thank you, and have her pair it with the Reif Rum cake.
Okay. So all right. So as we're going through, I know we didn't talk a whole lot of music, but I know as we were saying, we both originally I'm originally from New Jersey. Growing up, there are a lot of great bands in the Northeast. As you mentioned there. So hard rock fans, were you a big Boss fan, Bon Jovi fan? Typical.
So I was
Jersey
a big
boys?
Bon Jovi fan. I like Bruce. It wasn't my thing, and it was more not my thing because I was told I was from Jersey, so it had to be your thing. So,
yeah, exactly. I totally get that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was more Van Halen, U2, AC/DC. God, that was my youth. That was my child. The Who, the Beatles, the Beach Boys. That was my music growing up. So
Okay.
and did I ever tell you my drum story? I don't.
No, I don't think you did. No, okay.
You got
Oh, okay, perfect.
For that one.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I always wanted to be a drummer, right? That was my life growing up, right? When I was 10, 11 years old, I wanted to be Keith Moon. I wanted to be Ringo Starr. I wanted to be the drummer. My dad's like, no, you want to be the front man. I'm like, no, Dad, I want to be the drummer. But your personality's the front man. I'm like, but I want to be the drummer, Dad. So they go out and they get me a drum kit. And I am so happy. And I'm in the basement clanging away, not knowing anything. And so my mom and dad are like, okay, we're gonna get you some lessons here, kid, right? You're making a lot of noise and you're not making any sense. Okay, mom. So now this is the 70s, late 70s. So in comes a kid, long-haired hippie kid, got the leather jacket with the fringes and everything. And my mom prepays him for the lessons and everything. It's 10 lessons for 10 weeks and so on. And we go through the first lesson. And let's just say I am rhythmically challenged. I've come to learn that. So I don't do very well. The kid, I don't know what happened, but after that first lesson, the kid goes upstairs, hands my mother the money back that she prepaid him, and says, I can't teach rhythm. Find somebody else.
Oh man.
So now the story I like to tell is how bad was I at 10 years old that the hippie from the 70s had to give back the money that I don't know what he was going to use it for, but I have my suspicions. How bad was I that he gave that up and crushed my dreams because I never picked up a drumstick again?
You could have been, this could mean a whole different podcast. You know that?
Right? That's after that, I was like, okay, I know, I'm done.
That's
So,
that's gotta be it is an instrument, and it's not one that tends very well when you're a kid growing up. And same thing, for those that don't get the references that we're talking about, who live here, maybe in Florida places. Yes, there's basements up in New Jersey in the Northeast, right? We don't have them here in Florida. So usually that's where the kids always get sent down to the basement with the drums. Like I'm in the same boat too. So that's pretty I guess defeating purpose.
it was, but it's funny because when I saw you, when we first met months and months ago, when I saw drums and rum, I'm like, sure, right? The two things I said, the drums, the one thing in my life that I quit, right? That I got this, I was 10 years old, but how bad did I have to be?
Well, you know what? It's a good thing for that because, like I said, then you may not have had your own rum company, right?
Exactly. Everything happens for a reason.
All
But
right.
I always wonder where that kid is today. If I could ask him, what? Tell me, what did I do? How bad was I?
Oh my gosh. So, that's a crazy story. So all right, so we've got a segment here. We'll start wrapping things up here, David. So again, I'm sure you've seen the show before in the past. We've got a little segment here. It's kind of rapid fire. It's called In 4 Sips or Less. If you were a drummer, you would have gotten in 4 beats or less. But again, we're gonna obviously you're on the rum side of the house of the show. So 4 questions. Don't overthink them. For the first thing that comes to mind here. So here we go. In 4 beats or less, question number one: neat or on ice?
Neat.
Okay. Question number two: do you think Florida rums get a fair shake?
No.
Question number three: before your own rum, what was your go-to?
You want me to name the brand?
You could pass over. You could tell me whatever you want and say that I don't want to promote another brand on top of
Yeah,
mine.
I'm gonna pass.
Okay, that's fine. I know. All right, and then I think when Greg Hill was doing the panel, I think he said something like a list of questions. He goes, "I don't want to ask that question. Like, what's your favorite?" Right? Again, it's like the worst question to ask. Something like asking about your kids. So, all right. So, and of course, I just asked it. I asked it in a different way, I guess. So, all right. Question number four: Giant Stadium or MetLife Stadium?
Giant Stadium.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask you if which football team because that'll start off like that's almost as bad as
Yeah, yeah, that's not good.
politics.
That's a different podcast.
That's almost like talking politics.
Yeah.
So, all right. So as I said, we start wrapping up here. Definitely appreciate you coming on, David. Definitely getting a chance to kind of meet in person at the Tampa Bay Rum Experience there. I think we both agree we'd love to be part of future events, be at the second
Yep.
annual event there. Because we had a great time. I know Isabella's got to send out her survey for some feedback, which again to make it improve and make it better. I mean, I know it was already a great how it was. Again, sometimes I go into things kind of, I get into trouble and do too much. Never get a chance to kind of sample everything and so forth. But so as we wrap up here, so what do you want folks to check out here? Socials, where do you want to go? What do you want them to do? Here's the opportunity to shameless plug.
Yep, no problem. Go come check us out on our website, www.reifrum.com, REIF as in Frank, rum.com. Give us check us out on Instagram at reef_rum, and just check out our stories, see who we are, see our, listen to us, get our vibe, get our message. Of course, try the rum, right? Most important thing is try the rum, be it at your stores, buy it a bottle online, see us at a festival. Watch our socials. You'll see where we are. We're everywhere.
And on the website, you have a locator too, if it's in the store too, right?
Correct. You can see where we are and check that often because we're updating it almost every day.
Awesome. Very good. So, well, I definitely appreciate you coming on, David, here. So, as we wrap up here, so don't forget to check out, like, subscribe, share the Facebook page. We do have a Patreon page that we're trying to start that back up. Don't forget to support the podcast as well. So, check out Instagram, social media, like this video, and subscribe. That's how we grow. Also on the Apple podcast format, to leave a comment and rating, because that's the same thing. You do those things like the surveys, right? Nobody wants to do a survey, but that's the best way you kind of get feedback and so forth. So that's what we want to find out here. So lots of other great things to check out there. Check out drumsandrums.com. And I want to thank you all and have a great day. This is where the backbeats meets the spirits. Cheers, y'all.
Thank you all.